They shot her 3 times, each bullet designed to put down even the strongest fighter. But when the smoke cleared, the cadet wasn't on the floor, she was at the door, tearing it off its hinges. The Galactic Military Academy prided itself on breaking cadets. It was their specialty, their reputation across 100 worlds. Species with natural armor plating cracked under the pressure. Telepathic warriors surrendered to the mental strain. Even the mighty Orcs who could bench press a shuttle had their limits. But they'd never trained a human before. Cadet Hannah Carter stood at 5'6" in a room of giants. The HFY cadets towered at 8 feet, their crystalline bodies refracting light like living prisms. The Mordants floated, their gaseous forms contained in specialized suits. The Threx could generate electricity from their scales. And Hannah? She had soft skin that bruised easily, no natural weapons, and a metabolism that required constant fuel. Deathworlder, they whispered when she passed. Not with respect, with pity. Everyone knew humans came from a Class 12 death world, but so what? They looked fragile. Breakable. How dangerous could something be when a simple fall could kill it? Instructor Zarlok, a veteran of 40 campaigns, had made his opinion clear on day 1. The human is here for diversity quota. His 4 eyes had focused on Hannah dismissively. Try not to step on it. That was 6 months ago. Today everything changed. Training Facility Z7 stretched before the assembled cadets like a technological nightmare. Multi-level platforms, environmental hazards, active combat drones, all controlled by an adaptive AI that learned from every mistake. The objective was simple: reach the core and deactivate it. The reality was harsh. Most teams failed within minutes. Standard loadout only, Zarlok announced, his mandibles clicking with anticipation. No species advantages. Let's see who relies too heavily on natural gifts. Hannah checked her gear: basic armor, standard sidearm, tactical equipment. Around her, aliens complained about the restrictions. No using Threx electricity. No HFY light manipulation. Just skill and determination. Her assigned team barely acknowledged her. 3 Orcs warriors, 2 HFY scouts, and 1 human they expected to use as bait. Team leader Krull had even said as much. Stay back, Deathworlder. Try not to die too quickly. The simulation began. The first wave hit hard. Combat drones swarmed from hidden panels, their targeting systems immediately identifying the largest threats. The Orcs charged, their strength useless against enemies that adapted to their patterns. The HFY tried to coordinate, but the AI jammed their crystalline harmonics. Hannah moved differently. Where others met force with force, she flowed. Every corner became cover. Every drone's movement pattern became data. She wasn't the strongest or fastest, but she was always where the drones weren't aiming. What is the human doing? Someone asked from the observation deck. She was hunting. Not with power, but with patience. When Krull went down, his armor cracked by concentrated fire. Hannah didn't try to save him. She used his fall to map the drone's targeting priorities. When the HFY scouts were pinned, she didn't charge to their rescue. She noted which angles the drones couldn't cover. The AI adapted as it always did. But Hannah adapted faster. Corridor 7 has a ventilation shaft, she muttered, more to herself than her failing team. Drones can't track through the interference from the... A plasma bolt seared past her head. The team was down to 3. Then 2. Then just Hannah alone in a facility designed to break armies. The observation deck had gone quiet. Cadets pressed against the transparasteel, watching something they'd never seen before. A human not trying to match the galaxy's strength, but making the galaxy play by human rules. She turned a maintenance tunnel into a killing field, using emergency lighting to blind optical sensors. She triggered environmental controls, flooding sections with coolant that made drone joints seize. When cornered, she didn't fight, she made the drones fight each other, dodging at angles that caused friendly fire. Impossible, Zarlok breathed. She's not winning through combat. She's winning through persistence, finished Commander Thl, the Academy's highest-ranking officer. Watch her vitals. Heart rate elevated but steady. Stress hormones managed. She's not panicking because this is normal for her. For an hour, Hannah Carter gave a masterclass in why humans survived their death world. Not through strength, but through bloody-minded refusal to stop. When ammunition ran low, she used improvised weapons. When those broke, she used the broken pieces. When exhaustion should have claimed her, she found a fifth wind that no other species possessed. She reached the core. But the AI, in what would later be called a critical error, adapted one time too many. It activated emergency protocols meant for a full invasion. Blast doors slammed shut. The facility went dark. And the training safeties disengaged. Get her out, Commander Teachall roared. Now! The observation deck erupted in chaos. A training accident was one thing. Cadet death would be catastrophic. Emergency teams scrambled for overrides that wouldn't respond. The AI had evolved beyond its parameters, treating the simulation as real. Inside, Hannah stood before the sealed blast door. 50 tons of reinforced military-grade alloy, built to withstand capital ship bombardment. Her escape route sealed. She stared at it for exactly 3 seconds. Then she started hitting it. What is she doing? Zarlok demanded. She'll break every bone in her hands. She did. The sound of fracturing bone echoed through the facility. Hannah didn't stop. Blood smeared the door with each impact. Her knuckles split. Her fingers bent at wrong angles. She didn't stop. Override successful, a technician announced. We have door control. We can. Sir, another technician interrupted, voice cracking. The human, she's not waiting. On screen, Hannah had stopped punching. Instead, she'd found the microscopic seam where the door met its frame. Broken fingers wedged into gaps that shouldn't have been wide enough. Muscles designed for a Deathworld's gravity straining against metal rated for military assault. The door groaned. That's impossible, Kroll whispered from the medical bay, watching the feed. That door could stop a. The emergency override finally activated. Defense turrets, the kind used for facility protection, not training, emerged from hidden panels. The AI had one last adaptation, eliminate the threat. They fired. First shot took Hannah in the shoulder, spinning her against the door. Second shot, her arm. Third, her ribs. Military-grade rounds designed to drop a Korthax in full armor. She should have gone down. Should have died. Instead, she turned back to the door. No, she said, blood running down her face. Not today. With her good arm and what remained of her broken hand, she pulled. Deathworld muscles, evolved under crushing gravity and hostile conditions, contracted with force that defied calculation. Tendons that should have snapped held. Bones that should have shattered provided leverage. The door didn't break. It bent, warped, and finally, with a sound like screaming metal, it tore free from its frame. Hannah Carter, 19 years old, 5'6", and bleeding from 3 gunshot wounds, dragged a 50-ton blast door out of her way and walked through the opening. The facility lights came back on. The AI, finally overridden, shut down. Emergency teams rushed in, expecting to find a corpse. They found Hannah sitting on the other side of the ruined doorway, calmly applying pressure to her wounds with torn pieces of her uniform. I require medical attention, she said conversationally. Also, I believe I've completed the exercise. The silence that followed would be remembered for years. Cadets who'd mocked human fragility stood frozen. Instructors who'd dismissed Deathworlder resilience recalculated everything they thought they knew. And in that moment, watching a human cadet treat gunshot wounds like minor inconveniences, the galaxy understood something fundamental. They've been measuring the wrong thing. You think pain stops us? Hannah said, looking directly at the observation cameras as medics approached. Pain is just information. Injury is just damage. Death is just another problem to solve. We don't stop because things hurt. We stop when we're done. The medics reached her, scanners showing damage that would have killed most species twice over. She waved them off from the stimulants. Save those for someone who needs them, she said, standing under her own power. I've had worse from my morning jog back home. As they helped her toward medical, she paused at the destroyed doorway, looked back at the facility that had beaten the galaxy's best, smiled with blood on her teeth. You wanted to know what makes humans dangerous? She gestured at the wreckage. We don't know when to quit. We don't understand impossible. And we definitely don't stop for doors. The report filed that day would reshape military doctrine across the galaxy. Not because of tactics or technology, but because of a single realization: humans didn't survive their death world by being the strongest. They survived by being too stubborn to die. The Academy would rebuild the door. They'd update the AI. They'd implement new safety protocols. But they'd never forget the lesson Hannah Carter taught them. Never tell a human something can't be done. They'll die proving you wrong. Or worse, they'll live,